My job is to basically take Jason's survey information from the electrofishing surveys and put them into these health cards, one for each of our priority rivers. The main reason why we're doing this is because we want to share the monitoring information with fishers. Gone are the days where scientists will do a bit of work, write it up in a technical report, and we'll put it in a shelf and no one will ever read it. We want this to be open, we're all working together, so we want to share with you the opportunities and the issues that we've got with our trout fishing. I'm hopeful that we can foster a broader understanding of trout population health rather than just fishing a water a couple of times and making some assumptions about how that water's performing. I'm hopeful that this electrofishing information will give you an idea of what's actually present in the water. It doesn't necessarily tell you what you're going to catch, but it tells you what fish are there and what you might catch. And ultimately, this is all about informing your fishing, allowing you to better target your fishing and improve fishing outcomes. So hopefully you get some information out of this which you can use for your next fishing trip. This is what the health cards look like. So they look like there's a lot of information on them, and there's a lot of information we've left off. But don't be bamboozled. I'm going to walk you through this. They're really easy to understand, and you're all going to become fishery scientists, hopefully by the end of my presentation. So the first part of each health card is this green box here, which are our key health indicators. And these are the things that we're looking for in the health of our trout rivers. So the three indicators that we're looking for are recent recruitment. As Jason said, these are small fish, multiple size classes of fish, so some small fish, some medium-sized fish, and some big fish, and some mature fish. And the way that we try and look for this is on a length frequency chart of fish. So this is actual survey information from the Hauka River, which Jason's collected. And you can see here on the bottom axis here, these are the sizes of fish. So these are very small fish, less than 10 centimetres. And as you go along this way, the fish get bigger and bigger. And these are the 40 to 50 centimetre fish over here. On this axis are the numbers of fish that were caught by the electrofishers. So you can see here in the blue, which are the rainbow trout, there was 40 rainbow trout less than 10 centimetres. And there was 7 brown trout, less than 10 centimetres as well. So in terms of the Hauka, the things that we're looking for, recent recruitment, we can clearly see that we've got lots of fish here in the 10 to 15 centimetre category. So these fish probably spawned winter last year. And that's a good indication for us because it means the population's being replenished. So we give that a tick in our first health indicator. The second thing is multiple year classes. So we've got some small fish, some medium-sized fish and some big fish. And this is an indication of the resilience of the population, because if something comes through and wipes out one size class, we know we've got more fish coming through. So that's a good sign. The last thing are the big fish, and they're really important to us for a couple of reasons. First of all, they provide future spawning and future recruitment. So they'll spawn this winter coming, hopefully. And also they're there for you guys to catch. And they perform basically the fishery for you, the big fish being available. There is another thing that we look at, the abundance of trout that we got in surveys this year compared with what we've got in the past. And in terms of the Hauka River, we can see here it's about what we've seen in the past, but it does fluctuate through time. And this changes all the way. So the ratings that we've come up with for our health report cards range from excellent, very good, right down to good, moderate, recovering, and low. There is also some fishing trip information on your health report cards, and this is the information that I hope will help you with your next fishing trip. It ranges from the information such as the exact sites which Jason and his team went out and surveyed, so you can go and fish them, you can see on the map. It tells you how many fish he caught overall and the numbers of those fish that were over 20 centimetres, and we're calling those fish catchable because they sort of get to the size where most people are catching them. We also provide information around the largest fish, largest brown trout in there, and the catchable number of brown trout, the number of those fish that were over 20 centimetres at each site and over the whole river. So it gives you an idea of the numbers of fish that were present there that might be available for you to catch. Now, there is an important thing we need to remember with this information. As I said, this is not what you will catch. This is an indication of what's in the water. And it's all come from Jason's electrofishing. And electrofishing is a great tool for us to use to measure trout populations. It's very effective at catching trout, but a couple of things to remember. First of all, the information that's provided on the health report cards is somewhat a snapshot of what the population was at that point in time. As Jason said, they surveyed 3 or 4 sites. They didn't do the whole river, and they did it over 1 to 3 days. So if it happened to be particularly hot, the fish might have moved away and they might have caught less. So keep that in mind, that this is a snapshot of what's there. And secondly, electrofishing sounds great, and those who haven't done it before have this image that, you zap the water and all the fish float up and you catch everything. Sometimes it's that good, but most of the time it's not that perfect. It doesn't catch everything there. And some of these scientific work says that, on average it catches about 28%, so somewhere between a third and a quarter of what's in the water. So a really important thing to remember, the numbers of fish that we say we caught here, that's a real underestimate. It's very conservative. There might be many more fish in the water. In fact, maybe 3 or 4 times more fish in the water. So it's good news. So the health ratings for this year, let me walk you through the ratings that we've come up with our 12 priority rivers. Most of them, in fact, were reasonably good. In fact, excellent or very good. So we had 5 rivers which we called excellent or very good. They were the Aire, the Haukwa, the Kiewa, the Midda and the Tarongo. And the reason why they were excellent was because they ticked all of our boxes. Basically, we saw some recent recruitment in these small fish. We had multiple size classes and we had some big fish. And this is the work from the Midda River. So we gave that an excellent. Adding to that, we also looked at that historical trout, or what the trout abundance was compared with historical information. And in terms of the Midda River, in 2015, there's about 17 fish per 100 metres. And that compares really well with previous years. So the Midda gets an excellent mark, so does the Aire and the Haukwa and these other rivers as well. The next step from there were the rivers that we called good, and there were 3 of these. They were the Upper Goulburn, the King and the Yarra, and these rivers ticked all the boxes, but maybe just not in the high numbers as the excellent rivers. So if we look at the Upper Goulburn, we do have some recent recruitment in brown trout down here. We have some medium-sized fish, and some big fish, but maybe not quite as many as we'd hoped. Only a few big fish here, and only a little bit of natural recruitment. Nothing to be concerned about, but just not the levels that we see in those excellent rivers. The next step there was the moderate rivers, and there were 2 of these. We gave this to the Dargo and the Jamison, and this is where there was really clearly something was amiss. Something was not quite right. We didn't have all of our boxes ticked. So recent recruitment in the Jamison River, we couldn't find any recent recruitment of brown trout. And that could be because the electrofishers just missed them, because we don't catch anything, or maybe there wasn't recruitment in the Jamison River this year. Either way, we're not too concerned about this just yet, because we do have some bigger fish in there, some medium-sized fish and some large fish, which are available to spawn this winter to replenish the population. So we'll keep an eye on this, and if recruitment doesn't occur next year and the year after, then we can look at what's causing the problem and hopefully fix it. The next step from there was the recovering river. We gave this to the Ovens River, and that was because it ticked most of the boxes, and it looks like it's improving from 2013. There's some evidence of recruitment of brown trout, lots of rainbow trout. There's some medium-sized fish and some very large fish as well. And the really important thing that I noticed with this was the abundance of brown trout's actually quite a bit higher than what it was in 2013. It's not what it was in the 90s and the 2000s, but we are on the upward trend. So we've given that a recovering, and we'll keep an eye on that next year as well. And the last one we gave was a low rating, Narrial Creek. As Jason said, very low abundance of fish. We do have a range of sizes, some small fish, some medium and large fish, but just very few fish. So we'll keep an eye on this as well. So to summarise the health ratings for this year, most of them are really good. In fact, excellent, very good and good. But there is some room for improvement there. And as Jason said, these are our priority rivers for 2016. All of the waters that were moderate, lower recovering are back in the mix for next year. Working with our trout fisher reference group, we've worked out what our next rivers are. And this year we've got 3 new rivers, the Barclay River, the Morass Creek, and 1 Southwest River. And we've taken out the Aire and the Tarongo because they were both excellent. We don't expect them to change. And we've taken out the Yarra so we can put something else in there. So all in all, the electrofishing results are telling us that most of our rivers are in a reasonably healthy state, but there is some room for improvement. We'll follow this through over the next couple of years. So that's the health of the rivers, right? And as a fisherman, I was looking at this thinking, oh, that's great, that's the health. And I started looking at this thinking, where am I going to go fishing next? Where are most of the trout? Where are the big trout? Where are most of the big trout? And maybe I spent too much time with this, but I started thinking about the Trout River of the Year awards, and I was thinking about a theatre and the Oscars and stuff like that. So I came up with this idea, we could have 3 categories for the Trout River of the Year awards. And the first category could be for the most trout. So the nominations for the most trout out of our 12 priority rivers in Victoria are the Kiewa River System, the Taronga River System, the Upper Goulburn, and the Hauka River System. Anyone want to guess which they think has got the most trout overall from the electrofishing surveys? Taronga, I heard of Taronga. Jason, you can't answer, by the way. Anyone else? Hauka, bit of a mix. Surprise, surprise, the winner is the Taronga River. 37 trout per 100 metres. So the researchers got 230 trout over a 600 metre stretch of river. 37 trout in 100 metres is exceptional density for trout. And these are all sizes. But when you think about electrofishing doesn't catch anything, there's a power of fish in the Taronga at the moment. But the Kiewa River System, really good as well, 26 trout per 100 metres. The Goulburn, 20 trout, and the Hauka, 10 trout per 100 metres. So there's certainly some fish out there available to catch, at least when the surveys were going. The next category was the largest individual trout. Any guesses as to where you think this is? These are the 4 largest, the Hauka, the Kiewa, the Midda, and the King. Kiewa, I heard of Kiewa? Midda. Correct, the Midda River. Midda River had a 55 centimetre fish, 2.1 kilos, 5 pounds. Absolute cracker. So if you're going to catch that, good luck bringing that in. Really good fish in the Kiewa and the Hauka though as well. 3 pound fish up there. And the King had, pound and a half sort of thing. So some really good fish out there to catch. Last category, most catchable fish. So the largest number of fish over 20 centimetres. And the nominations are the Air, the Kiewa, the King, and the Taronga. Any guesses for this one? No. Surprise, surprise. The Taronga River, 9 catchable trout per 100 metres. So there's 9 fish over 20 centimetres per 100 metres, twice the length of this room. Heaps of big fish there for you to catch. Add on the electrofishing efficiency and, there could be 30 fish in that 100 metre stretch to catch. So some really good options there, I reckon, for your next fishing trip. Any of those sound good, but we've got some great options available to us. So I'm going to finish up in just a sec. I just want to make a note that these health report cards are a real work in progress. We're looking to continually improve them. If you guys have any suggestions on what you think works, what doesn't, how we can make them better, we'd love to hear from you. So please come and talk to me, JD or Anthony, or write it on your feedback form. I'm hopeful we can make these things something that fishers get value from and they really resonate with, and it's useful to you. I'm going to incorporate a couple of things, the electrofishing efficiency, give you an idea of how many fish could be in the water, and also we'll put in the rainbow trout, the numbers of catchable rainbow trout. This year it's just the brown trout. Next year we'll put both browns and rainbows in there. We didn't expect to see so many rainbows this year. We're thinking about an earlier release of the report cards. If you're interested, we could get these report cards out sooner after the surveys, and it could inform your fishing earlier in the season. Remember, these surveys were done between January and April this year, and we're giving you the report card now. Next year, we could give you the report card a lot earlier, and you could use that for your fishing. And we could use this method for other fisheries as well. I think the more we can open this up to anglers, that you guys can see it, and you can understand what's working, what's not, where there's issues, where the opportunities are, it's great. We can all work together and we can continue to improve fishing. Some acknowledgements down the bottom, Jason and his team for doing all the survey work, some preliminary analysis. The guys at Fisheries, Phil Weigel and Victorian Trout Reference Group for bouncing this off. Thanks very much. Cheers.
Authorised by Victorian Government, 1 Treasury Place, Melbourne.